Hello, I'm Gordon Schimmel with the Academy of Model Aeronautics. Welcome to our How Do I series for newcomers. In this online tutorial, I'm joined by Dave Gee, a veteran free flight modeler. He is going to show us how to take a simple entry-level model and modify it for better flight performance. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Gordon. So we're going to talk about this little free flight model. There's been an awful lot of these made, and I'm sure you've seen them and flown them. Yours might not say AMA on it, it might say Louis' Diner, but they're the same model. And this technology is not new. The first one like this was flown in 1871.
That's a long time ago.
You better believe it. Well, it's been a different plane since, you know. So there's a lot of things we can do to these to bring the performance way, way up from how it comes out of the package. This one is dead stock. You see it's got flat wings, and it's assembled the way the package says. But let's take one and upgrade it a little bit and see what we can do with it. So I always cut the package because when you tear it, you always seem to tear the wing. And it comes with clear instructions. You want to wad those up carefully and get rid of them. All right, you got your motor stick and the wing. The hook is on the bottom, so let's start by putting the wing through it. Gently and firmly, because it doesn't always want to go. And bring it about to the middle, we'll adjust it later. Now, this wing has dihedral for stability, but we're going to want this to carry an awful lot more power than it was designed, so we need more stability, more dihedral. So we're going to take our magic ballpoint pen, and we'll just use part of the plane as a ruler. Now we're going to go in from the tip, about 1.5 inches. It's not really critical. Now we're going to just draw a line. It's not that we want the line, we want to break the fibers in the balsa a little bit.
Now, do these have to be equally?
Approximate is good enough.
Approximate.
The airplane won't care, it doesn't say a word. In actual fact, you want the plane to fly in a circle, so if it's a little bit uneven, that's fine. Now we want to break it, but we don't want to break it off. So one way to do it is to put it on the edge of the table and just crack it gently like that. If you're feeling cocky, you can do it with your fingers. You see, and these aren't equal, and it'll be fine. About that much, if it's a little more or a little less, won't matter. However, now that we've broken part of the fibers of the wing, it won't stay like that. So you've got to glue it to make it stay. I like to use super glue, but you can use white glue or whatever you've got will work fine. All you do is run a little bead down there, and that will hold it in place good enough to be secure during flight.
I'll put that back for you.
I'm an impatient guy, so I want super glue to hurry up, so I use accelerator spray to make the super glue dry. This takes a long time to, okay, it's dry. And the rest of it goes together pretty stock. I'll put the printing up for aesthetic purposes. When we put the rudder in, the grain of the rudder goes the wrong way. It goes this way. Well, the stripes look beautiful, but the rudder will snap right off. So take the grain of the wood and make it go up and down. Put it in so that the stripes are going up and down. I realize it looks bad, but trust me, this will survive much better. Oftentimes we want to put a little drop of glue on the tail to reinforce and hold it, because sometimes that wood will split during an exciting, adventurous trip into the stratosphere. All right, now here comes the nose piece, and sometimes that nose piece fits on snug and it's just great, but other times it's loose and it wobbles. If yours wobbles, there's an easy dirty trick for this. I love dirty tricks. You take a little bit of this wood left over, just a little bit, and you put it next to this, and you cram it in there to shim it down so that it fits tight. And then you can just break off whatever's left. And now that thing fits tight. It's important because if the prop pulls different directions on different flights, it won't fly the same way twice in a row. Now the final bit is probably the most important of all. This motor that comes with it, this blue rubber band motor, is a good stretchy motor, and you get a lot of power into it, but it releases that power sharply. It'll climb very, very sharply, and it won't run as long. Well, if you're outdoors, that's okay. But if you can get the use of a big gym, or if you want it to stay in a yard or a schoolyard, you're going to need to upgrade the rubber. This is called tan super sport rubber. It's especially for model airplanes. If you're lucky enough to live next to a hobby shop or nearby, they will likely have some of this. This is 1/8 inch, the most common size. If you don't have a hobby shop nearby, you're going online. You cut a strip of this, and you're going to tie a knot in it. And by the way, it comes in big packages and small packages. You don't have to buy a whole lot. Just tie a regular overhand knot, but cinch it down tight, 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 so that instead of a strip of rubber, you have a loop. And you can also lubricate this with any sort of rubber treatment product, Armor All or dishwashing soap, anything, and it'll hold a lot more power when you lube it. We're going to run it dry today. The knot always goes in the back, and the front goes on the front hook. Now, you're going to adjust this plane once you get it flying to do what you want it to do. And the first thing is it might dive or it might climb up and stall. And you change that by moving the wing forward and back. In this case, we're going to start with the wing in about the middle, because we don't know what it's going to do yet. And you look at the wings, and sometimes there'll be a warp in one panel. These are really straight and good, so this is all right. If it's warped, you want to breathe on it and twist it until they're both straight. If you want the plane to turn in a different way, it'll turn naturally one way or the other. But you can change the flight pattern by moving the wing like that, a little bit back and forth. And what you do is when you get the thing adjusted just the way you want it, back we go to our pen, and you draw a line down there, and then a little cross line like that. And now, if the wing gets knocked out of kilter by hitting something, you can put it right back where it wants to be. And the last thing we want to do is you want to label the plane. You want to put your name on it, especially if you and your friends have a bunch of identical planes. If you're flying somewhere where it might get where you don't want it and you might get in trouble, you don't want to put your own name.
Put someone else's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll save endless trouble for me.
Right.
All right. The rubber band motor is just a little bit long, so I tension it with my finger and I wind it, and you can see it starting to form knots. And it's going to form a row of knots. And one row of knots is a good test flight, and 2 rows of knots is a regular flight, and 3 rows of knots is usually a broken motor.
Knots to you.
And if you really want to get some fancy equipment, you can get a rubber winder like this that will turn the rubber many more times than you turn the handle, and you can wind it up a lot, and you can stretch wind it and put a lot more power in it. But this is a time-tested, established way for winding a rubber model is with your finger. And it's good practice for playing video games too, strong knuckles. All right, so you see I'm on my second row of knots. I'm just about ready to fly this. And they've given us a nice big studio, so we can really get some test flying done. So Gordon, I'm going to aim at your head. I'm going to aim just past you. Let's see if it flies. That's not too bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
All right, guys, we get that? We get that hit?
Can you believe that plane cooperated and did that fly? That's all right. We can do that as many times as you want.
Yeah. Go ahead and fly it one more time. And also, 2 questions.
I got it hitting the wall and everything. I was zooming out right as it was done, so I got
A
it.
couple of just shot questions. When he broke it on the edge of the table, did you get that
Yes,
shot?
yes, yeah.
And then the other thing is,
I
when he,
Gordon.
yeah,
You did it very quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's-
got
that
it
was
briefly, but I
fine.
think we want to
yeah, let's have him
hold
do
it for it
that.
to be a little.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, you get the shot ready.
Just that shot, or
You don't even
should
have
I
to
voice
say
it
anything.
also?
Yeah, you
hold it
just,
up.
just hold it up
Just
and I'll
gonna
work it in there.
Hold towards his camera.
And like you put it down, like you just had it down, and then hold it up. And you're tight on that, right?
Cool, good, thank you. Hold down.
Okay. Are we gonna
Everybody get ready for
fly it again?
Yeah, let's wind it up and do a wide.
We could do a
everybody
quick
knows what's
wind if
gonna
you want.
happen now.
Cheap.
Okay, I'll just got
This is just a few seconds.
Even if we got
I'll just get some
easy.
nice close-ups of it winding up from here.
I usually tell people to tie a double knot because sometimes that knot will pull out if they do a second.
If they do it like I showed them, they won't have trouble. There is no definitive rubber knot that really works
I've never had one pull
any
out.
better than my single overhand.
Yeah. Well, I do double overhand.
Well, it's like the East Coast swing. It's a
Yeah.
more complicated step.
Right. When you lube it, that sometimes becomes a problem. That's why I tie it double.
You guys let me know when you're ready. It's gonna fly right out of the lights, of course.
All right, whenever you guys wanted to go for it.
Do you want to bring lights up in the room for one of these?
Well, for that one, we may have to like.
We can pop these lights on for the flight.
Okay, am I ready to go?
Yeah, why don't you, yeah, you get ready, Elberfeld, and
Good, house lights.
and if you say call for lights, I'll just be like, okay, let's test it out, lights, and I'll turn them on.
Okay,
and then,
so we're gonna do that this time?
yep. So,
Okay, so we got enough for a good test flight. Gordon, nothing personal, I'm gonna aim it at your head.
I'll
Lights.
maybe we'll not do the lights thing, it took longer than I thought.
Yeah.
That was still good.
Well, if you can follow it flying out of the studio
Yeah,
lights
that's fine.
on
I
its
think
way
we've got
to
it.
New Orleans, that's okay.
We've got, actually, we'll switch the shot.
Or as they say, New Orleans.
We're good, let's do the next video.
Okay.
Did you wanna close that? You wanna close this
No,
video down?
no, we'll just do that closer whenever you want to do it.
Let's pause, reset, we got a new build anyway, so.
We're going to clean this off a bit.
I can't walk away.
Here, let
Yeah,
me do an easy way to. If you just hang on to
Put that in your pocket.
pocket.
Good, thank you.